All right, we're back again, huh? Year two. So just extremely excited about the start of our second year. 21 months into this right now. This is it feels good that every day is not a first day as far as just something that you're learning every day that's new with our players. But it's been a great camp. We've approached our camp as every day is day one. And the mindset has been phenomenal with our players, and so excited about that. I know we'll talk a little bit more about fall camp in just a few minutes. I do want to talk a little bit about our opponent, North Texas, and obviously coming off of the season they came off of with a new coaching staff in place now that got there in December. Coach Luttrell is one of the, in my opinion, I've followed him for quite some time. He's one of the brightest young minds in all of college football from an offensive standpoint. He's been around some phenomenal coaches, which is very impressive when you look at his pedigree of guys like Larry Fedora at North Carolina, which is as innovative as anybody in the country offensively, and spent some time with Rich Rodriguez at Arizona, Mike Leach at Texas Tech. And so when you start talking about his pedigree and what he's about, it's very impressive. He knows football, extremely knowledgeable about the game, and it's a kind of reflection of the guys he's worked underneath. He's hired some phenomenal coaches. His staff, we know a lot of these guys already. Coached against a lot of these guys. Graham Harrell, his offensive coordinator, actually beat us as a sophomore down in the Astrodome as a quarterback when I was at Bay City. And so I know Graham. He's basically a Texas icon, a Texas high school football icon in this state. His dad, Sam Harrell, which is very well respected in this state, got great respect for the Harrells. Consider Sam a very dear friend of mine. And has done a lot for our Texas high school coaches. And obviously Graham being at Washington State under Mike Leach and knows football as well. Then you look at the defensive side of the ball. He hired Mike Eckler, his defensive coordinator, which was at Georgia when we were at Clemson, and so had an opportunity to go against him in our time there. And obviously the people he's been underneath, Mark Rick and his defensive coordinator out there, Jeremy Pruitt. So very well respected, got great respect for these guys. They'll do a great job. They'll get the program turned around and get it heading in the right direction. And so we know what we're in for. We're in for a battle. We're excited. We're excited for this challenge ahead of us. Really excited to watch our guys respond to year two, coming off of the season we came off of last year. We felt like we made some strides last year, but we knew that depth was going to be an issue. That was a reason of our recruiting of 25 guys this past year that we signed, and mainly defensive side of the ball. So we're excited about seeing a bunch of these young guys come out. I'm excited about our older guys, our veteran players coming into year two, but had a really good camp. The mindset of our players right now is as good as it's ever been since I've been here. We're healthy as we've ever been. I'm excited to watch our guys perform Saturday. We've got one injury of a guy that'll be out for the entire season. That was basically a young man that we were counting on this year, Chad Pursley. He'll be out this year. He'll get back next year and be better and stronger than ever. But Nick Naturals take his spot at left tackle. So with that, as we come out of camp, and started in our game prep over the last week to 10 days. It's kind of refreshing to watch our players and to see them and the anticipation, the anxiety, the excitement level to get back on the field. So I'll open it up.
Your things change offensively in terms of pace? You talked about
Well, I felt like last year, and I made this comment last night to some of our fans and alumni. I felt like last year we started out playing fast. I didn't think as the year went, we kind of scaled our strengths back, we scaled our offense back to help our football team out. We didn't have the depth. We couldn't hold up in the long run on defense. And so we actually slowed the game down, which goes totally against everything I'm about, everything I've stood for the last 5 and 6 years. And my response to that is we still went 2-10, and so that didn't work. We've recruited. We have depth. We really have depth in our defensive line, which is a plus for us. I expect us to keep a lot of guys fresh. Excited about our defensive front, but we're gonna go back and do what we do and play fast, extremely fast. I felt like in the spring we played faster than we have ever played, even when our time at Clemson. And so that was our method. That was kind of our goal coming out of spring. Is we want to continue to play fast. So you'll see us play extremely fast Saturday. And that's what we're going to do. And we're not going to get away from what got us here. Our guys have really adapted to that. Coach Trumaine Carroll and our strength staff has done a phenomenal job getting our guys prepared all off season long and through the summer months of the third and fourth quarter phase. And so our guys are ready, and they've picked up in fall camp. And so I've been excited about watching the pace of play. But we're going to get back to doing what we do.
Like in terms of seconds for snaps and stuff, is there a certain count?
Yeah, no, not really, not really. We want to make sure that we're going at a fast enough pace that we feel like it benefits our players. And we've got a few keys that we look at on the field to indicate that, to whether or not we're playing as fast as we need to play. So. And it's not the play clock. It's really not. I really don't care about that. I'm more interested in some of the other things of our guys getting set and how long they're set in a stance before they start. But you'll see us play extremely fast. We'll be faster than we ever were at any point in time last year.
Last year, because of you being in your first year with the team and also the lack of depth that you mentioned, you said that you and your staff only installed a fraction of your playbook. How much would you say you've installed now?
Well, we did, and we actually, I guess, early in the year we were up to about 65% of what we had installed at Clemson, and then we said, look, we can't keep going. We got to scale back even more. We have to take the pressure off of our quarterbacks, our running backs, and pass protection. We had to just take the pressure off and put it on us as coaches, and so we scaled back probably about 35-40% of our offense was really in. It was what could we do and do effectively. And really, to be honest with you right now, that's my main focus is, what are we good at? What can we execute? And let's do that, and let's do it extremely fast. That's it. Whether that's 70% of the playbook, whether it's 80%, obviously we're ahead. 21 months, you would expect to be a little bit more ahead offensively. But it's really what can our guys – I know what our coaches know. I know what I know. I'm not worried about what they know. I want to know what our players know and what our players can execute on Saturday in a game situation. And so we're more advanced than we were. But at the same sense, we want to be able to execute at a high level, especially in these first few weeks because, these games more than any, there's so many unknowns. And so you better be able to execute at a high level and eliminate as many of the mental mistakes as you possibly can.
Any pleasant surprises coming out of camp that were unexpected?
Yeah, actually there are. From the offensive side of the ball, Myron Gilliard has had a great camp. Redshirt young man, redshirt freshman from last year. Excited about him. He's really emerged. He's had a really good camp. It doesn't surprise me because he had a phenomenal summer, and you saw glimpses of him in the spring. But he's a young man that's really emerged. Jerry Saina is another young man that has totally transformed his body, his thought process in the offensive line. And so I'm excited about Jerry. And Evan Brown, we knew Evan was going to be a great player for us. He's really not as much as a surprise as it is he's been a part of our leadership committee and has really made some stands through the course of the summer. So other guys offensively that have had a really good camp. Matt Davis, I thought, has had as good a camp as anybody I've been around. His confidence level's at an all-time high. It's kind of – I didn't realize this until he and I talked in depth, but this is the first time since he was in Pop Warner football that he's actually had the same offensive scheme 2 years in a row with the same coordinators. So, that's a shame, but boy, it's good for him at this point in time. Ben Hicks is a young man that has had a good camp as well. Darryl Colbert's another one. These young men have got to be in a position to have some game experience in the event that something happens to Matt through the course of the season. The typicals, Xavier Jones, Braden West, have had some, good camps, really good camps. Cayman Freeman is probably another of the surprises that I've seen. A quarterback out of Liberty Alu that we have moved to running back. He's big, he's thick, strong. Comes from a great program that expects to win when they step on the field. So to watch this true freshman play Saturday night is going to give us some depth and provide us some depth in the running back position. But Alex Honey's another young man that's had a good one. So really just true surprises. Nick Horton doesn't really surprise me, but Nick was a linebacker last year that was out of position. He just didn't look comfortable. He looked slow. He looked stiff, wasn't as active in space, I should say. You move Nick a little bit closer to the ball, about 4 yards closer to the ball, and he's had a great camp. So he's been a pleasant surprise. We thought that would happen, and he proved us true. Zelt Minor, Zelt has had a really good camp. Zelt's been here now for 4 or 5 years, and it's time. It really is time for Zelt to do something, and we're expecting some great things out of him. The expectations for Zelt Minor are extremely high from my standpoint and our defensive coach's standpoint, and he's had a really good camp as well. Again, those are guys that really doesn't surprise you, but they need to be a surprise to everybody in these stands because they haven't heard their name in a while. And so Jordan White moving from safety to corner. Jordan's had a great camp as well, and has made some plays. Again, I thought he was out of position last year at safety. So again, some young guys, some redshirt freshman Rodney Clemens, Kevin Johnson. We got 2 young pups back there, actually 3, in that secondary that are going to be really, really talented players for us before they're through here at SMU. And that's Christian Davis, that is Mikael Onu, and Eric Sutton. Those are 3 young men that are going to have great careers here in due time. So that's as far as surprises, that kind of hit on a few of them. Our special teams, our punter, which we're excited about, is Jamie Sackville, a young man from Australia that has got a really strong leg, and so we'll see what he's like when you put him on the field on Saturday. So as all our guys.
When you think about the unknown in these early games, you mentioned your familiarity with a lot of the guys on the North Texas staff. Does that nullify the lack of film that you have with them working together?
Well, there's so many unknowns. I mean, you really look and you take you watch film from basically just about every place that every coach has been at, and you put 2 and 2 together, and you just try to, I remind our staff of where we were back when we were 9 months into this thing, and what we were trying to evolve and establish and put our system in place. And at the end of the day, it really is. It's a nameless, faceless opponent. You better go into any of these first games, and not just SMU. This is everybody across the country. We're worried about SMU. I mean, you worry about yourself. You make sure you don't beat yourself. You take care of the football. You give yourself a chance to be successful, and when you get that, you got a chance, and that's really all you ask for. So yes, we've prepared for what we think. they're similar to us in so many ways. They're probably a little bit more of an air raid, and throw the ball a little bit more around, and run a little bit more of the mesh concepts and some of the, getting the ball out in a hurry. But yet they're going to take some of the run game that they've had, that Coach Fedora's had, that Rich Rod has had, that has made Coach Luttrell successful where he's been. But again, nobody invents football right now. At this stage, everybody runs a power, everybody runs the inside zone, everybody runs a counter, or some versions of it. And you got to be gap sound on defense. It goes back to alignment, assignment, and technique. And if you can do those things, you give yourself a chance to be successful. I told our staff today earlier, it's on us now. We're going to get them to the game. They're healthy. They're excited. They're in shape. We've had a great camp. Let's put it on our coaches, and let's let our players go play. Let them go play. If they have to think on Saturday, it slows them down. And you don't want players out there having to process through if this, then that, if this, then this. You don't want that. When you do that, you slow a kid down, slow a player down. So we want them to turn it loose, put it in the left lane, and let's have some fun with this thing. Yeah, and going back with those guys right there, and that's a great point. I mentioned a few veteran guys already, but when you look at Deion Green, a veteran guy that's been here now as long as us, 21 months, played in the SEC, fresh, he's healthy. His leadership from those guys up front provides us some depth. When you get guys like that and you create some depth up front on both sides of the ball, but especially that defensive line, when a guy knows, hey, look, if I can go out here and I can give my absolute best for 35 snaps in this game or 40 snaps in this game, and knowing that I've got some people coming in behind me, that takes some pressure off some of these guys like Deion Green. Justin Lawler's another one that we're expecting great things out of, that's a veteran guy, part of our leadership committee. R.C. Cox is a young man that came on last year in some roles that we had, expecting him to pick up where he left off. But you're right. And Horace Richardson is a guy that's really, for whatever reason, has really had a hard time staying healthy since he's been here. And he, much like Zelt, it's time. It's time. You got 4 months. It's time. So we got to keep you healthy, and you got to go perform. You're recruited. You're on scholarship. It's time. We expect these guys, our veteran guys, to lead the way for us. Our expectation is for their absolute best, and whatever that is. We're not asking them to come out and play 95 straight snaps, but when they're on that field, we want their absolute best. And I'm excited about Horace and what he's going to bring, and his knowledge and his wisdom. Darian Malines is another young man that's at safety. Has had a really good camp, part of our leadership committee as well. Darian is he's due. It's his time now, and he's really emerged. More of a silent leader, doesn't say a whole lot, but his action on the field is very respected among our players. So again, we're excited about our younger guys, but our younger guys have pushed our older guys, and so we've got some competition in there, and that's what you asked for. So it's allowed these older veteran players to say, you know what, I've got guys right behind me that I trust that are going to come in and give me an opportunity to give my all when I'm on the field, and then be able to step off the field, in times that I need to take a break for whatever the reason may be. So.
Considering the season last year, 2 wins, 1 against Mustangs, is there extra thought, like we got to get this one on Saturday night or not?
Well, no. I mean, one game's not going to define your season, and our focus is to come out and give our absolute best this week, whatever that may be. Control what we can control, and that's the SMU Mustangs, and how we prepare this week, and how we approach the game, and our preparation. The 48 hours out prior to game is so critical for us in our final mental preparation. Everybody wants to come out and be 1-0. We're no different. We want to be 1-0 this week. We want to have the best press conference of anybody in the country right now. That's all I care about, is making sure that we have the best press conference. We're going to go from here and have the best practice of anybody in the country and best film study tonight as a coaching staff. We'll wake up tomorrow and worry about tomorrow. And our culture around here has been established. We've spent 21 months establishing that. We want to come out here and obviously as we step off that field Saturday night, as long as I know that we've walked off the field giving our absolute best, that's all I can ask for as a coach.
How much did the injury personally up front change your going through camp to the end? How much did that change?
Well, it changed it a lot. It really did. From a depth perspective, number one, we felt like coming into fall camp that our offensive line was going to have more depth than we've had. It might be one of the deepest parts of our football team, but when you've lost Chad, we're still waiting on Keaton Bates to get back, which he should be back. He won't be ready for this week, but he'll be back for next week. And so losing Chad, two things. One, it hurt us as far as we had to move some guys around. And as I shared with Chad and Coach Fry and Coach Craddock, we all talked about was if it had to happen, the point in time, if it was going to happen, if the inevitable was going to happen with Chad, when it happened was probably the best time for us because it gave us 2 weeks out to get a rotation in there in that offensive line, to get Nick Natura ready because Nick was working at right tackle and he was working at guard. So now it gave Nick that left tackle position. Nick played very well for us last year and then had to have surgery. And so he's a big kid and has really came on. You really see his emergence at that left tackle position. So anytime you lose a player like Chad personally, it hurts you. But it also opens up an opportunity for someone else. And that someone else has obviously been Daniel McCarty. At guard, we're excited about Daniel. Travis Pfister's another young man that he's a senior. That it's time for him as well as I've mentioned some of these other guys. Braylon Hyder is a young man that can move around and play either guard position. And so there's different combinations, but what you do is you take and you pull from here to get to this one, and it's kind of like putting a puzzle together, really. But we're able to sit in with our 5 that we're excited about. You don't want to play a true freshman in the offensive line if you can avoid it. That's one of the hardest positions. It is the hardest position in all of, in my opinion, all of college football to play as a true freshman. Very few guys are able to do that. And if you're not careful, if they're not ready, you'll set them back even more. We do have 2 true freshmen we're going to travel. We don't want to play them, but if we have to play them, they'll be ready. So again, yes, losing Chad hurt, but it also allowed opportunity for some of these other guys to step up. Yeah, we'll take Jacob Tedora and Kadarius Smith.
When you think about those moving pieces in the interior offensive line, what did you and Coach Fry and Coach Craddock see in Daniel McCarty that separated him and earned him that starting spot this week?
Well, if you remember last year, Daniel started for us against Baylor. And he had earned a starting position last year and unfortunately hurt his knee in the Baylor game, which, again, it caused us to have to do a kind of a shuffle in our offensive line at that point. Worked exceptionally hard to get back, came out and had a really good summer. And so, Daniel's a really good player. He's athletic. He's plays exceptionally hard. So I knew we were going to get Daniel back. It was just, was he going to allow himself to turn it loose, trust his knee, and move forward? And he's been able to do that. So it was good. We really needed that, and I think he knew. He's an extremely intelligent young man that is really going to be a really good player for us.
Anything else, guys?
Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.